we can notice how when the war starts, he sees himself at equal stature. But one by one, Rama destroys him. He destroys his weapons. He picks up a bow. Rama breaks it. He breaks the chariot, kills the charioteer. He drops the flag of Ravana. We see how utterly Ravana is destroyed on the battlefield. And he's completely embarrassed. His ego gets shattered on the battlefield. His expectations were also shattered. He expected that he would be able to, sustain a war with Rama and survive and defeat Rama and keep Sita. But he realizes now that it's not going the way he expected. So after this, Ravana sends his brother Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna also gets killed. And at this point, he realizes because Kumbhakarna and Indrajit are his right hand and his left hand, right? They're the people who support Ravana through all his actions. Now Kumbhakarna is gone. He's starting to, think seriously about his actions. And he realizes that maybe he should have listened to his younger brother Vibhishana. He would have avoided all this conflict. Sitaram, we're learning about Virodha Bhava right now. So my topic is mainly focused on Ravana, Virodha Bhava and Ravana. Understanding Ramayana to be the first Itihasa, the first text, and Itihasa meaning it's literally what occurred, right? So we're looking at pretty much the first villain to ever be depicted in a story, right? So every character in Ramayana, as we know, and everybody says, every character is supposed to be an ideal example of that character that they portray, whether it be a brother or an enemy or a friend or an advisor. So when we look at Rama as a hero, we have to expect the villain to be almost equal to Rama in his own manner, right? So we're going to look more into this topic now. So the topics that I'm going to cover are mainly three. The first thing is Ravana as a person, the things that Ravana embodies. The second thing is how Ravana changes through the course of Ramayana, the aspects of Ravana which change. And third, the events that caused the change in Ravana's character, right? Because we saw that the whole point of all these Babas is to bring that person closer to divinity or closer to realization, right? So each of these are an aspect or an approach. So, how do these events bring Ravana closer to Rama? On a funny side note, though, Ravana or Kumbhakarna or Vibhishana, all three, they get close to Ravana in their own Rama in their own different ways. Kumbhakarna, Ravana, they go through Yuddham, Virodha Bhavam, they approach Rama. If you look at Vibhishana, the same person, he goes to Sharanagati and attains Rama. So we see in Rama in itself, within the three brothers, there are different approaches to the same goal. So coming to Ravana now, the first slide is a bit harsh, I'd say, but Ravana, when you look at Ravana, he is a man of multiple characters or multiple facets. And the most important one, which is pretty much the reason why I believe that Ramayana itself has a value, is that the occurrence of Ravana abducting Sita, which instigates the whole Ramayana itself. Of course, that's a controversial topic, but Ravana abducting Sita is what gives Rama the opportunity to placate his values in the epic. So we see here the type of person that Ravana is. Indriyani purajitva jitam tribhuvanam toya. This is told by Mandodari in Uddakanda. Of course, the second part of this line says that the same senses, this line is saying that Ravana is a person who conquered the senses in the three worlds. But after this, the second part of this shloka is she herself says, the same senses are the reason why you've lost your life and lost all your values. Mandodari says this. So if you look at Ravana, he is a person who's very firm in his values or his beliefs, his cultural or ethnic practices, right? So if you look at Rama and Ravana, both people have opportunities or situations where they have to choose between dharma or what they believe is correct or what we are supposed to accept as correct and what is followed by the people at that period in time. To take Rama as an example, we see hunting, drinking, and eating meat. Cultural practices. It is very common for Kshatriyas to indulge in these activities, but Rama is willing to say and be firm that he wasn't going to touch any of these. Whereas here we see Ravana who takes this as an opportunity to indulge himself in his senses and enjoy his life, right? So we see a big difference in Rama and Ravana. The biggest one being what they hold as their kolhaina solra mari, what they hold as their prime value, what they hold as their adharam. So furthermore on Ravana, he has lots of values. And we also know that values are supposed to be aiding the dharmic character of a person. But in this case, Ravana is a person with so many values, but also he indulges in very criminal activities, as we know. And this is also the reason why, as Anna says, this is the reason why even though he abducts Sita, he's able to survive for so long because of the tapasya that he built through his austerities and his practices, right? And the first time Ravana gets involved in Ramayana, in the sense that he gets involved with the storyline, he comes to Ravana. Ravana comes towards Rama and approaches the whole group, right? The first time that happens is Surpanaka in Aranyakanda, right? So Ravana hears about Sita. So that's the first part that Ravana gets intertwined with the storyline of Ramayana. So Surpanaka tells Ravana about Sita's beauty, and she instigates Ravana to abduct Sita. So as we know, the story goes on. Ravana abducts Sita. The way it happens is Maricha, he lures Rama to the forest. Sita sends Lakshmana to, because she hears Rama shouting, so she sends Lakshmana to protect Rama or save Rama. Sita gets abducted and taken back to Ashokavatika in Lanka. And we also know that Ravana, as a person, is incapable of defeating Ravana in head on combat. This is told by Maricha himself. When Ravana approaches Maricha to help him abduct Sita, Maricha tells this to Ravana, and later on, Ravana himself accepts this. In Yuddhakanda, during the war, he accepts this. Ravana's infatuation. So we know that Ravana's infatuation is the reason for his downfall. The biggest reason for his downfall was the fact that he had an issue controlling his lust. And the thing is that we also know in Ramayana it's shown that he had done this multiple times before Sita. And it was known that because Ravana definitely has lots of good values, but he is also having multiple bad values, which in turn caused his downfall. So we know that he was a powerful king. He was a true leader also because he was able to rule the world pretty much. And because of that, whenever he abducted someone, they had no choice. It wasn't a question of uttu to porde or something. No choice. Once they were abducted, they had to stay or they had to lose their life. So we see Ravana as a person who had done this multiple times before Sita, and Sita was pretty much the last thing that he did before his downfall occurred, right? So now we start going to the story of how Ravana himself attains his downfall, you'd say. So the first thing is Ravana had multiple members in his court, of which a few of them were gems, Vibhishana and Malyavan, certain people. Not all of them were perfect, but they were good advisors to Ravana. And Ravana is also an able leader. He's very intelligent. And as we know, a king should be more intelligent than his ministers. And Ravana is advised multiple times toward Ramayana by Vibhishana, by Kumbhakarna, by Malyavan, yet he pays no heed to their words. And the first time he gets a realization that he may have made a mistake is in Sundarakanda when Hanuman pretty much bashes Ravana's ego directly. He destroys his courtiers, his ministers, his army, right inside, like right beside his palace. And so Ravana realizes that he has to get ready for a war now. So this is the first step towards Ravana realizing that he may have made a mistake. We see that obviously Vibhishana advises Ravana again. Ravana pays no heed and Vibhishana leaves. We also see that a small word, samupastita jwaraha, we see that small phrase that which shows that Ravana has a slight hint of fear. He's a bit scared now. He's not sure. And we see that when Rama builds the bridge, we know Ravana is an able leader. He's extremely intelligent. He's strategic. He's experienced. But in this case, and it's very obvious that when a person starts preparing for war, you should attempt to stop the war at that moment itself. Never take it to fatality, right? But in this case, Ravana tries to procrastinate the war from occurring. He doesn't take any action towards what Rama's doing, and he just plans in his own side on what they'll do and how they'll defeat Rama, who will kill who. That's all that happens. There is no actual planning going on. So we see that Ravana, in his mind, is unsure about actually defeating Rama in a war. So he's procrastinating the war itself from occurring. And once Vibhishana leaves, right, we can also understand that there's not many reasons for Ravana to continue keeping Sita, other than one, his own bad quality, which is lust. Two, his ego. He still has a slight belief that he still has a large, um, or most of his court is still advising him, because advising him in the sense they're growing his ego, they're boosting his ego, saying that, we can defeat Rama. And so because of that, he's still held by his own ego to keep Sita. And because of that, these two main reasons, Sita is not returned back to Rama. So now the war occurs, the war starts, and I'm just going to skim through this part, but more or less, one by one, all the major leaders of Ravana's army are killed. And he also notices that the Vanara army, or Rama's army, is not changing in size, whereas his army is, getting destroyed day by day. And because of this, Ravana himself decides to enter into the battlefield. Here we see Ravana's valor. We see how powerful he is as a king and as a warrior also. He's able to go all the way towards Rama. Very few people and very few Rakshasas in Ramayana are, termed or titled with greatness as a warrior. Very few people like Nikumba, Kumbhakarna. Few people in Ramayana are given that stature. And Ravana, obviously, as a king, he's expected to be the most powerful warrior of them all. He goes all the way till Rama, and at that point, he understands the difference between him and Rama. He notices how we can notice how when the war starts, he sees himself at equal stature. But one by one, Rama destroys him. He destroys his weapons. He picks up a bow. Rama breaks it. He breaks a chariot, kills a charioteer. He drops the flag of Ravana. We see how utterly Ravana is destroyed on the battlefield, and he's completely embarrassed. His ego gets shattered on the battlefield. His expectations were also shattered. He expected that he would be able to, sustain a war with Rama and survive and defeat Rama and keep Sita, but he realizes now that it's not going the way he expected. So after this, Ravana sends his brother Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna also gets killed. And at this point, he realizes because Kumbhakarna and Indrajit are his right hand and his left hand, right? They're the people who support Ravana through all his actions. Now Kumbhakarna is gone. He's trying to, think seriously about his actions. And he realizes that maybe he should have listened to his younger brother Vibhishana. He would have avoided all this conflict. The remaining Rakshasas, as they usually do, they boost Ravana's morale. You can still defeat Rama. We'll go fight. We'll kill all the Vanaras and we'll take care of Rama. You keep Sita. And of course, this Goshti also goes to war. They also get killed. And it just continues more and more. So Ravana is the kind of person who's still believing that he can still do this because more people are supporting him. And at the end of the day, what happens is his own son, his lovable son Indrajit, also gets killed, right? And when his whole family, his children, all his relations, they all get defeated on the battlefield, all because of Ravana's intention to keep Sita, he realizes that Rama is Vishnu himself. Tam manye Raghavam Veeram Narayana Manamayam. He realizes that he's picked a fight with the wrong person, or more than that, he chose to stand in the wrong side of Dharma. And when his son dies, he completely loses hope, Indrajit. So first Kumbhakarna is gone. Of course, he has his ministers, his courtiers, but his right hand, Indrajit, is now gone, and he's standing on his own now. Imagine being a king and sitting in an empty room with no one to advise you, no one near you, your family is gone. He realizes finally that everybody's gone. Everybody who supported his, actions throughout his life, everybody has now left him, all because of his one intention to keep Sita. And because of this, we can also see Rama gives opportunities to Ravana, right? The first one, speaking about prominent opportunities, Hanuman coming, speaking to Ravana, and then Angada coming, speaking to Ravana. And then Ravana seems to get changed little by little. We can see that the amount of ego that he displays, the first fight he has with Rama, the amount of speech, the amount of, blabbering, the amount of titter, the things that he does, it starts dropping throughout the epic. From the beginning, the way he was, the stature that he had, and at the end, drooping shoulders, like withered, like he's lost his life. We see that Ravana's completely changed as a person itself. We see that at the end, Ravana's folding his hands in the assembly. He's completely lost. He's given up. Ravana pranjlir vakyam putra vyasana karshitaha. With the death of his son, now he's realized that he's lost everything. And now comes the part about growth. We see, as we saw, Ravana initially, the egotistical character, the guy who was the apt villain for Rama, the person who was able to stand with keeping Sita, abducting Sita, a person who was considered untouchable due to her chastity. He was able to survive for so long. This gem of a person, you would say, a leader, not a great person, but a powerful person. This kind of a person who ruled the world, a person who made the world scared of his existence, that type of a character is finally lost. He's unable to do anything. He doesn't know what to do after this. He's still unable to bow down and give up. He's just right now shocked that he's done, and all of the wealth that he's built, everything that he has created is now gone because of one mistake which he probably should not have made. We see that, of course, fighting is important, but everybody fights for a reason, right? Rama's reason is dharma, and to put it more, to word it better, it's especially for Sita. He wants Sita back, and he wants to placate dharma back. For Ravana, his reason was not exactly a strong reason. It was more of animalistic desires that he wanted to maintain, he wanted to enjoy. And those were the reasons for his downfall. So we also can learn that the things that we hold important in life should be something which we can sustain for life, something which cannot be questioned for life. And that's where dharma comes in, right? Things that are eternal, things that will remain for eternity, things that we should value, those kind of things should be remembered and held by us and taught down through generations also. So finally, Ravana becomes receptive. Receptive in the sense, of course, it's not exactly a growth. Like, for example, and a perfect example of growth from Virodha Bhava, I'd say would be Vashishta and Vishwamitra. The way through their conversations, one gets uplifted by the other, right? In this case, it's more of understanding that the person's thought process has changed. Ravana has realized the biggest example for the fact that he's realizing is that he's listening to Rama now. Initially, he would never listen. He would just start shouting. Rama would give his reasons back to Ravana and the war would commence. Now, Ravana's listening to Rama because he realizes that his purpose is lost. He's just standing there as a leader with no one to follow him. And what do we learn from this, right? So, because it's an itihasa, we have to expect that the things that occur in this itihasa should in some way be related to real life also, right? It should be realistic. So, research papers on self growth. Just now, 2021, a few years ago, there was a paper that spoke about eudaimonic growth, which is basically, anybody know Maslow's hierarchy theory? Yes, psychology students. So, self actualization, which is the peak, right? uh, for people who are getting who aren't exactly sure about what that means, it can be attributed to three main things. Self-actualization, according to Maslow, is one, morality, understanding of morality; second, creativity; and third, a lack of prejudice, which he states as self-actualization. And the word eudaimonic growth is actually coined by Aristotle, who is a Greek philosopher. And he says something which is actually very similar to our beliefs, which he says is in eudaimonic life is one which is a virtuous activity in accordance with the reason. So living a dharmic life, pretty much Aristotle says that in his own words. And we also learn a lot of things about eudaimonic life through this paper, which is that negative events, when we go through them, we become receptive, right? When we suffer, or let's say um, for students in writing exams, you get bad marks in your mid yearly, you realize that it's a negative event, right? You realize that you probably didn't study properly and you didn't get marks, right? Well, it causes growth. You realize that if I need to get marks, I need to study, and hard work is the only way to get success. So, starting from small things to big things, which is following the wrong principles and then suffering due to the backlash of following those principles, and then learning that dharma or self actualization or dharmic things or what our predecessors taught, these kind of things are things that we should have followed. Things like this are instigated through negative events in our life. So, personal growth. And for personal growth to occur, it has to happen through a good means. In this case, a dharmic entity like Rama, or in life, a trial, you could say. In Ravana's case, I could also call it a trial, Ravana's trial in a way. He stands in front of Rama, which is Dharma. He states his reasons, he states his emotions, his problems, and he learns hard way. He learns that his actions are wrong and he needs to change his way of life. Ravana realizes this. So, what does this exactly signify? So, the first thing is Rama's approach to correcting a person. You cannot always be cut and dry with things, right? People are not understanding. That's the real world. Life isn't as easy as it seems. You have to teach people lessons in a way that it doesn't boost their ego or incite anger more, but it should be in a way where they realize their mistakes on their own and they correct themselves. So we see Rama's approach in correcting a person. The second thing, we learned that the people that we keep around us should be dharmic people and good people. And because of that, we should be receptive to the words of these people. The biggest reason for Ravana's downfall is because he kept most of his people in his advisory group as not really great people, which was probably the biggest reason for his downfall. So, people that we keep around us should be good people and dharmic people. And third thing, the main point of this is Virodha Bhava and all these bhavas. The intention is for upliftment, right? Spiritual upliftment. And so Virodha Bhava, though may not suit us as people, in retrospect, when you look at other people and the way their lives have happened, for example, Ravana, or you could take Kamsa for a great example, we can see how Virodha Bhava, in a way, due to their own constant smarana, the constant recollection of the actions they have done and the things that they're looking at these, we realize that Virodha Bhava is another approach, it's another sadhana. And though Virodha Bhava is not approachable by most people, people don't go through this stream, obviously. Most itihasas talk through this stream because always an understanding of learning is required by itihasas. When we read an itihasa, we expect to learn something, right? We take any grantham, anything that we learn, anything that we read, we expect to learn something from it. And Virodha Bhava, which is the process of looking at an enemy and a good person, a protagonist and an antagonist in a war, and righteousness wins, right? This aspect is always the best for teaching people values. So, talking about Ravana, we see one thing, infatuation here, which is pretty similar to addiction, right? In the sense that in Bhagavad Gita, we have the shlokam, Dhyayado Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Upajayate, Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha, Kamat Krodho Bijayate, Krodhat Bhavati Sammohaha, Sammohat Smriti Bibhramaha, Smriti Bhramshat Buddhinashaha, Buddhinashat Pranashyati. We can literally see the whole course of this happening throughout Ramayana, right? We see first Ravana hears about Sita's existence, then he gets infatuated towards Sita. He abducts Sita. Then when he realizes that he's losing the war to keep Sita, he gets angry. And at that point, he completely loses his posture, his mental situation. And finally, he completely loses everything. So we realize that whenever we take an action, we should think twice before we do it. We should look at it at a perspective of whether this is something which is sustaining in the purview of dharma, in the purview of righteousness. So are we sticking to a path which, in simple terms, things which our Periva have advised us in, and things which will lead us to a happier life, right? And when it comes to giving opportunities, I've only spoken about Rama giving opportunities to Ravana. Sita also does give opportunities. She says, Tena Maitri Bhavatite Yedi Jeevitam Ichchasi. We see that even though Rama and Sita are separated here, their intent is the same. They want Ravana to change. They want Ravana to become a good person. So the people that we look up to should be people who truly wish for our well-being. In this case, it is Virodha Bhava, but in real life also, anyone that we keep within our circle, anyone that we look up to, they should be the kind of people who are interested in our upliftment and our happiness and our growth. So about Ravana, that's pretty much it to speak about Ravana. There's lots of things. Ravana's a deep character, but the important things, the events that changed Ravana's life and the events that we can learn from in Ramayana, I've covered pretty much now. Sitaram.
Sitaramji. Okay, so I think it's a very fundamental question I have. The whole lecture is about how Ravana evolved or changed over time. But I'm asking, did he really evolve or change over time? So a lot of times when we are in trouble, தமிழ்ல சொல்லுவோம் ஆடிட்டு இருந்தவெல்லாம் கஷ்டம் வரும்போது உடனே அடங்கிடுவா. But that doesn't mean it's a permanent transformation. For all that matter, once a threat passes away, and if he gets that opportunity again, it is, how can are we to say that Ravana will not get back to his previous nature? And why I feel like the ego in him is not gone, in fact probably it is even more apparent towards the end, is because at least at the beginning he had some sort of false confidence that he can win over Rama, but towards the end it became rather apparent to him that he's going to lose. If his ego was really coming down, he would have humbled as a person, said I made a mistake, expressed remorse. But till the end, he's almost, when he realizes that he's losing, when Indrajit is gone, he's going to go and kill Sita, take out the anger that way. He knows he's going into a suicidal battle, but he is willing to go into it, willing to pawn whatever is left of his army, just because he has made the decision to fight and his ego is not stopping him. So where has Ravana's ego changed?
Okay, so from a point of Ramayana, there's not really much after Ravana's death about Ravana, right? So we're going to have to think about this in a different perspective. I think one way to look at it is example of Kamsa, right? We talk about how due to his constant contemplation of Krishna, he attained moksha. In a similar way, this is one perspective. In a similar way, due to Ravana's constant contemplation of how to defeat Rama, or Rama about Rama itself, in a way he attained a sort of egoless state of moksha or self-actualization. In a way, that's one way to look at it. Another way that I can think of is not always. First of all, so when you're talking about buddhi nashat pranashati, right? So a man who's lost his mind, pretty much, you can't expect rational actions from a person like that. So just because he may have understood to some extent about what is right or wrong doesn't mean he'll actually take actions on it. That's why I think that he went to kill Sita, because at that point he knew that he was wrong, right? But if we look at ourselves, even when we realize that we've made a mistake, we don't exactly go and correct it always, right? We try to prove ourselves right. We try to do something to take our mind off it, or something to, change the thing completely. So in that way, I see it as Ravana, due to his, disturbed mind, due to his complete loss of rationale, he takes an action of attempting to kill Sita. That's my way of looking at it. He gets corrected after that, right? In the sense that the people around him tell him that this is not the right action to do. இப்படி பண்ணக்கூடாது அப்படின்னு advise பண்றா people around him.
That particular incident of not attacking Sita, you can characterize it as irrational, but he still goes into the battlefield. The mark of somebody whose ego is coming down is humility. It is reflection, remorse. But Ravana does not express any of that. He fights till the end, even if it is a losing battle, because he's taken the decision and he has too much ego to step back.
Actually, more than seeing this as ego's manifestation, what I feel is that he holds to his belief. Can I call it as belief? He holds to that. It is valor. We should not yield. We should not give up. Let me fight further. After giving up all my relations and my ministers and friends, is if I go and give back Sita now, anyhow Rama is going to take back Sita. He has understood almost. Martavyam iti Ravanaha. Let me go to fight against Rama and die. Let me die. With that attitude he goes. It's not. I don't think that he is holding ego on doing this. This is what I feel. And of course, this Kamsa episode, what you are telling, the story came long after Ramayana, very long after Ramayana, and the story is based on or to say it is purely religious. Okay, it's just a belief that if a god comes and kills somebody, he will attain Vaikuntha. Okay, this Ravana aspect which we are seeing, is he getting elevated somehow or the other when he is moving with Rama even as an enemy? That vichara we are doing here. Yeah.
To excuse me, Sitaram. To add to Anna, I think when he started the war, I think he was not. He was having the height of his ego. I would say that. But now once he entered into the war the first day and started seeing the valor of Rama, I think when he goes back, everything that he sees was Rama. So the ego got it was breaking slowly. But as Anna said correctly, that no, he doesn't wanted to just give it up. He wanted to go along with it and then end up. I would concur that way. That's what Anna said is absolutely right.
Sitaram. So I just wanted to clarify on get clarified on that point about growth you had mentioned. You had said that Ravana became receptive. So what is that point you had seen? Like he's becoming receptive.
When I say receptive, so I thought of it in a different way. So what I meant was, before, the first step to being receptive is listening, right? So
Just listening or listening and acting on that.
yeah, so the thing is, Ravana, my understanding is he did understand that what he did was wrong. He learns that he made mistakes, right? But he wasn't willing to also, like, in the sense, he knew he had lost. As Anna said, he knew he had lost, but he just goes and finishes the war just to continue his course, you could say.
It is more like he didn't have any other choice. Just he should he had to take that path. It was like that, right? So was it a mindful choice? I'm asking, like becoming receptive and going to the war.
I'm not sure if that was his only choice. He definitely would have had other choices, but he chose that choice because you could say that for a warrior, dying on the battlefield is the most valorous or most போற்றத்தகுந்த விதம் to lose their life, right? So Ravana would have decided that at this point it's better for me to lose my life on the battlefield, right? So that's probably why he would have decided to continue the war after he realizes his mistake. So that's my understanding of why it continued.
I would just want to make a comment. If anyone was expecting that Ravana would indeed reform and surrender to Rama, etc., hypothetically, I think the Ravana-ness of Ravana itself would go, because Ravana would then become Rama, and the whole essence of that character would not be sustainable in the Kavya, I think. So, in Kathakali, for example, they have explored these themes. So there is one Kathakali play called Alagiya Ravanan, where the performer who is donning the role of Ravana, so Ravana has 10 heads. So he brings 10 types of emotions. The same artist, he will bring 10 emotions at the same time, one after the other, in quick succession. And one of them is a beautiful Ravana, Alagiya Ravanan, where he would indeed think that he should surrender to Rama, and then give back Sita. But in the very next moment, that emotion would change to something else. Another head would take over. So this is how I think we can see Ravana's fall. Some of those flashes of changed thinking in his mindset, or perhaps just given out in course of the Kavya to not portray him as totally black.
Yeah, no character is truly
So,
evil.
Yeah, but otherwise the Ravana-ness of Ravana is in how he lived. He tormented everyone and he died, I
Hmm.
think. Yeah,
It's a
thanks.
beautiful way of looking at it.
We were speaking about Ravana's honor and prestige is important to him, because so even though his ego reduced, he continued the battle because his family had died. He thought that this is the way to go as a warrior. If that prestige was so important to him at the time, because at this point he's already lost everything that he's had, he's in a pathetic position, such to the extent that he's doing pranjali to his own ministers. So when he was at the heights of who he was, he abducted Sita without facing. Until now, whoever he had abducted, he had faced them directly in battle. He knew that Rama was too powerful, that's why he avoided Rama. But he wasn't afraid of his honor or prestige being questioned by the people around him, or he himself didn't care that he pushed it out of his mind, whatever his mental state was. At the height of who he was, he did a cowardice act like that, and his prestige didn't affect him then why did it affect him so much after he had lost everything and he wanted to continue in battle?
I was going to say something very similar to that. That some things that he was willing to take as okay, like chalega kind of things. This is one of those things. Abducting someone who seemed beautiful, he thought, you know what, it's fine. He obviously would have known that it's wrong. He's a scholar. He's a very intelligent person. He knows it's wrong, but he
No,
just
more than abducting a woman, because as Ravana himself that's Rakshasa's dharma. That's not the question of what was affecting his conscience. What I'm saying is his personal prestige should be affected if he believes that he's a great warrior and he had to trick Rama in order to abduct Sita. Why didn't that perturb him at the time? Because according to him, that is a value that needs to be respected. That sort of prestige would be something that is respected in the Rakshasa clan. Because if he abducts Sita, no one's going to speak against him, not just because he's a king, but that's because that's the Rakshasa's custom.
Yeah, I get your question. So, so Rama says, right, that when he's asked to take the Rajya again, he says that I won't because of dharma, or I won't because he wants to protect his father's oath, right? And the main reason is because he knows that if he does something that's against dharma, then the people may see this as an opportunity, saying that Rama re panitare. You know what's wrong with that kind of, right? So that's Rama's maturity to understand that kind of situation, whereas Ravana may not have realized that. So he would have just thought that, you know what, நான் பண்ணிட்டேன், யாருமே ஒண்ணுமே கேள்வி கேட்க மாட்டா. You know, he was never questioned at that point, right? He shuts up Maricha actually when he says this, right? Maricha sort of points out that ஒன்னால முடியாது, you cannot defeat Rama in combat. He shuts Maricha up.
Really good for good person only. But trying to kill Hanuman only he can laugh. But when Vibhishana was talking for it before everyone, he doesn't have a say against it. So he accepted it. But his full heart is not there. That means he is ready to do it. He's ready to do hook or crook. He loves it. So we can see those people are leaders. இவா எல்லாரும் வந்து they try hard to sustain their leadership. அந்த மாதிரி சில பேர் இருப்பா. ஏன்னா having doing all such kind of adharmic activities, it's very easy to be washed away. So he's maintaining it. அப்படிங்கிறது ஃபீல் ஆகுது.
It's not only with Ravana. An amazing thing which I find is that many of the terrorist leaders have all these good and bad qualities which Ravana has. Yeah, they keep their people well. Okay, they have tapasya. They have control of senses. It is not so easy to become a terrorist. Okay, because he has to go against the whole of government and the society and still continue to live a great life. Okay, it's not so easy. For that, such a kind of tapasya is required, such a kind of taking care of the people around him. You see, a terrorist has to take care of the people in such a way that people should give up even their life for the terrorist. Okay, these things, the features which we see with even the current terrorists, they are exactly the same with Ravana of Valmiki. It's a very interesting thing. Okay, these things cannot make him very great dharmic personality. Okay, we can't call him as an icon. We can't call him like that. The same way, even now, the terrorists who are prevalent, you may see some good things in them. Every day they never fail to pray, prayer, very disciplined. On seeing all these things, you can't tell that they are completely dharmic and they are icons, they are role models. We can't make them role models. This is the lesson from Ravana. Yeah.
Vidyut Jikva is another example. Vidyut Jikva action Maya Shiras எடுத்துன்னு கூட again hook or crook.
Yes.
What we are seeing, he is like that. He poses himself very well.
Actually, so if that is the answer to, you know, Ravana's prestige, Krishnaji's question, kind of circularly leads us back to the first question that I asked, right? Because if Ravana thought you know, valor was a value and so he went and fought for it, that is a little different. But if it is all about prestige at the end of the day, you know, it's not a value on the inside, it's about what he shows on the inside. That is also a manifestation of ego, right? So Ravana's ego is not dead at the end of the day. But we see that he is not hesitant about giving up valor in all these previous examples, such as, you know, kidnapping Sita and you know, or Vidya Jihwa's case, even Vibhishana, all these examples that we saw right now.
We can't quantify all these things like this. Okay, if this is not, then this is. We can't bring in this sense. Okay, these are all very qualitative, subtle things. Okay, and huge time for discussion, understanding is required for this. Yeah, it's not that okay. Finally, he died due to only ego. Okay, not because of his valor or what we can say, martial. For his Kshatriya dharma, I don't want to call. For his Kshatriyatva, for his prestige, that is also included. Of course, ego is also included. That is how it is. Okay. There it did not come. That is why I just precisely said this is selective. That's how.
So you talked about, you know, Ravana's sins on a whole, and you know the whole presentation seemed to be focused on Ravana's abduction of Sita. I mean, another facet of Ravana that I think is very important, at least to me, is how Ravana killed rishis. That's a big part of, I mean, at least to me, a big part of Ravana's character is in how Ravana, I mean, he didn't even get his hands dirty. Rather, he used various other people to instigate the killing of rishis in various places like Janasthana, right? Even when Shurpanaka, you know, instigates Ravana, you know, checks into what Janasthana is doing. Those kind of elements of Ravana are also present. my question is Ravana's involvement with Rishi killing connected to Ravana's abduction, kind of abduction addiction, I guess? See, not just Sita's abduction, overall Ravana's lust, Ravana's winning over of various other women, Paradaraha. Are these two actions of Ravana, or these two kind of aspects of Ravana connected?
Connected? Okay, so definitely Ravana did not have just one bad quality, right? Let's make that clear. Paradarabimarshan was not his only, like, kidnapping other people's wives is not his only crime. He did many things. Okay. So if you want to put a relation, anything can be related to anything, right? But we have to just understand it in a way that they're both crimes, obviously, and he did both crimes. One criminal does not mean he'll only do one type of crime. He'll do multiple things, right?
Why I'm asking is Ravana is not like a normal criminal. See, the criminals that I have an understanding of, they're people who do various crimes for their own self satisfaction on a very low level. Ravana seems to be highly principled. I mean, you just mentioned a lot of his own, merits, right? Such a, austere person, right? Them having one big, huge flaw, that can make sense to me. But them having 2 or 3 huge flaws that are not even in any way related, that doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Okay. So two things. One, when you compare Ravana to terrorists or criminals, you cannot exactly compare it like that. Biggest reason being, it's a different period of time completely. The closest relation we can get is a criminal or a terrorist to Ravana, right? First thing. And second thing, he personally did not get involved in anything, is one perspective, right? That he personally did not go and kill all the rishis or anything. He sent a group. Am I right? That's your point. You're asking that, unlike other terrorists or whatever, he's very principled. He doesn't involve himself in the acts directly. Instead, he leads people to do it. Is that your question? Or?
I mean, as far as in Ramayana, that's what we see.
Yeah.
You can easily compare. We have a lot of terrorists even now. If you observe them, can be easily compared. Okay, the traits of terrorists, traits of Ravana, they perfectly match in various aspects. The positive aspects of Ravana, negative aspects of Ravana, the combination. So to establish the negative evil using the austerity, using their discipline, all these things are found here also. Even now also there are modern day Ravanas, and the modern day uh, modern day Ravana supporters, they support the original Ravana also. We can see this in their articles and all. Those who support Ravana nowadays, you can see them supporting this terrorism, that terrorism, this terrorism. They call themselves as the human rights activists. Not all human rights people are bad. I'm not telling like that. But in the garb of human rights activism, okay, they glorify the contemporary terrorists also. The same persons glorify Ravana too. We see that psychology is like that. It's very interesting. It's not that one who is highly disciplined, man of austerity, cannot have 3 or 4 crimes. It's not like that. Both combine, and they both things work together. Having one thing, they use this for that negative things also. For example, to have a tremendous amount of archery, you need concentration, you need power, you need tapasya, you need early morning waking up. All these things are used to develop archery, to become an ideal warrior. But after becoming warrior, what are you going to do? You are massacring thousands. This can happen. Yeah, this can happen. And we see everywhere. In fact, you take, for example, the Delhi Mughal, the last Delhi Mughal, perhaps. What is his name? Yeah, meticulously it is like that only. I'm talking about Aurangzeb. Okay. What he did, he never drinks in his life. He made copies of great scripture, and he was like that. All these things don't make him dharmic. Okay. He had a routine. He was highly disciplined. All these things. He was very punctual. In fact, on seeing the death of Shivaji, he shed tears. And he also gave an announcement. The one who, what to say, one who safeguarded others' wives had gone. Okay, this kind of statements. He had reverence to Shivaji, yes. But all these things cannot make him dharmic. Probably he is more teetotaler than Akbar. Okay, this guy, this man, Aurangzeb, is even more teetotaler than Akbar. All these things can be there in him. Like this, we can give several examples. In all these things, we see the same kind of personality. Same kind of personality traits we see. This cannot, this should not carry away our mind. It's very important. By these things, we should not start to build a temple for Aurangzeb, telling Aurangzeb is my role model, or Hitler is my role model. Never. Hitler may have some good qualities. He can be punctual. Okay. He may be a vegetarian, pure vegetarian, or he may be some features he may have. Okay. Just because he is doing all these things, he can't be a great soul, or he's a role model. We can't tell like that. Sometimes through some evil person's evil actions, some good things can happen. For that, we can't build a temple. Like due to Manthara, Rama's exile came, this Ramayana came. This cannot justify Manthara. For this, we can't prostrate before Manthara. Hitler threatened British, so that British was silenced, and the British became weak, so that British gave up India and went. So can we say that due to Hitler, India got freedom, therefore we have to worship Hitler? We can't do that. This is not right. This is not right. So we should be very careful regarding dealing with these terrorists.